Good morning and welcome to Lattes and Leaders with Dr. Brad Johnson, best-selling author and accomplished public speaker specializing in education and educational leadership. I am your co-host, Jeremy Johnson, organizational psychology consultant specializing in career coaching, training, and development. Meet us here each week to discuss topics in education and leadership and meet with some of the top education talent and thought partners from across the globe. So grab your latte, sit back, and enjoy a relaxed conversation that will leave you informed and encouraged. Good morning and welcome to Lattes and Leaders with Dr. Brad Johnson. This morning we have a very special guest with us. We have Dr. Ted Huff. How are you doing today?
Gentlemen, I'm doing great. I appreciate this opportunity to join you guys today on your podcast.
Yeah, thank you for being here today. We're looking forward to you sharing your experiences and expertise and just helping us grow in our leadership and in education. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Johnson.
So, Dr. Huff, can you tell us a little bit about your background and maybe some of the stuff you're currently working on?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I am an educator. I started my career as an educator as a high school theater teacher. I taught in two different school districts, and I taught high school theater for 10 years. Um, and my passion for theater stemmed from participating in high school theater and a little bit in college. And so what I learned was that through the through the through the theatrical experience, my students were able to use their creative talents in ways that they hadn't perceived before. You know, my tech theater students, my stage management students, and the actors. So every student coming into our community of theater could work, join, and participate in whatever way they wanted. They could be on the props crew, they could be backstage, it could be an understudy, whatever. And I found that it was interesting to watch the students grow and blossom inside the classroom and outside. And so I wanted to create an environment that was safe for them to explore and learn and grow. And the whole piece about building relationships was key for me. Building relationships with my colleagues, my administrators, my parents, but most importantly, my students. And it was important to call them by their chosen name, nickname, given name, whatever, so that was their identity. And so I did that for 10 years, and I wanted to take that experience on a bigger platform, if you will. So, you know, I had 300 students in my theater program, and so I pursued a degree in educational administration. So I became an assistant principal in my district where I was teaching theater. So that gave me an opportunity to work with over 1,000 students as an assistant principal. And so I sat in that seat as assistant principal for about 15 years in two different school districts. My final district, the Francis House School District in St. Charles County, is where I retired from. And so I served as an assistant principal and building principal at Francis House Middle School. And so I have four passion areas. It's character education, parent engagement, self-learning, and leading coaching school administrators. Those are my four passion areas. And so as a leader, had the opportunity when I was at Francis House Middle School to focus in on character education. We use the 11 principles of character.org, and our state organization is called Character Plus. So I did that quite a bit, working with developing with my leadership team. Um, Let me back up. So when I was assistant principal, we had already started working on character education. And through that work and the 11 principles of character education, we were identified as a Missouri State School of Character twice, a National School of Character twice. And those 11 principles guided our work. You know, one principle talks about core values. And so you have to have core ethical values. What are the values that guide and direct you and lead you? So we had four core values that we selected as a building. Parents, students, teachers, the community voted on these these four core values that led us out in that work. Among the 11 principles, it talks about high academic standards. It talks about engaging students, involving them. It talks about data analysis. You know, are you using the data to drive your work? And also another one was parent involvement. And
Mm.
so those key pieces were huge. Then, Dr. Johnson, moving into the parent engagement piece, I worked with my parent team. So a little quick story. In 2014, I went to the National Parent Engagement Conference, came back all excited and renewed, and I met with my assistant principal, who she oversaw the PTO, and then I supervised the PIT team, the parent involvement team, two teams. PTO served as our fundraising agent, and then the PIT team served as the parent development, parent learning.
Mm.
And my PTO president came to me and said, "Ted, we're struggling. We're struggling with fundraising. We're having a hard time here." I'm like, "Well, I don't understand." She says, "Ted, PTO is more than fundraising." I'm like, "What?" See, my perception of PTO, and I apologize, PTO and PTA, I apologize right now. Uh, I just assumed that they did fundraising because our PIT team did the parent engagement piece. So we merged the two. We took PIT and PTO and became FACE, the family and community engagement team, the FACE team. So
I
they
like
became the
that.
face of our school. And so I empowered uh, that new organization to lead out the work. And so what they did was, so Dr. Lee was my assistant principal who was over the PTO. We were ex officio members. We were non-voting. We were there to support, answer questions, help them out. But they did all the work. So we engaged the parents to do the leading and the developing. And so they did parent engagement. They led out book studies, uh, craft fairs, you name it. They did all kinds of incredible things with our school community. In one piece, they also decided that they needed student voice, so they had a student leadership board. And so they identified students to serve on as a student panel with the FACE team. I'm like, "You guys are killing me." I didn't think about this. They said, "That's why we're here, Ted." I'm like, "Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Humble pie, humble pie." And so they brought them on. And what was cool was the FACE team offered grants to the staff. You had to apply. And once we put the student leaders on board, we were sitting at one of our meetings and determining which grants we would accept. And so our three student leader board representatives were there, and they chimed in and they explained why they supported which initiative and which ones we should fund. And so using their voice and then the FACE team board, they voted. And it was just interesting to see the student perspective on why they chose which project to fund and which they chose not to fund. Unreal. So taking that work there, I did that work through 2019. And then I retired and then began working with the Missouri Leadership Development System, MLDS. That is a grant here in Missouri. And we work and coach and guide school leaders across the state. We have about 400 principals in St. Louis that are in our cohort. And Missouri is divided into 9 regions. And so each region has a core of school principals that are in their different cohorts. So I was doing that. In the meantime, uh, on the side, when I retired, I started writing my book on parent engagement.
Okay.
The operative word is started, and I'm still there. However, this spring, I epiphany hit me, and I said, "Why am I not doing more work outside of my home district that I did with my FACE team? Why am I not doing that?" And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." So I took that work. And so that work was centered around the work of Dr. Karen Mapp and Ann Henderson, authors of Beyond the Bake Sale. And one of the premises is we must meet the parents where they are.
Mm.
And I said, that is so true. And then we combine that with the work of Dr. Joyce Epstein with the National Network of Partnership Schools in conjunction with Johns Hopkins University. And so I took that work. And so Mapp and Henderson have a model of 4 types of partnership schools. And Dr. Epstein with NNPS has the 6 keys of engagement, of parent involvement. So I took those pieces and I created the Leading with Parents initiative. So I am in my inaugural year of working with Leading with Parents. And so I have 2 schools in Southwest Missouri that I'm working with right now. I've got 3 more that I'm working with, going to conduct their audits and just let them know, here's what I can do. Let me know what you think, right? And so the premise, Dr. Johnson, is that I want to go into schools and conduct an audit, and then I want to see where they are with their parent their parent team, their PTO, their PIT, their Moz and Paws, whatever organization they have. Where are they, or do they not have one? One school that I'm working with is starting over from scratch. They're rebuilding, And so I go in and I show them, the structure of a parent leadership team. I go over so different things. I do different things, and I can go into that a little more further. But anyway, that's the work I'm doing now. So I have two pieces. I have my day job, the Missouri Leadership Development System, where I coach administrators, and then my side passion is leading with parents.
That's so good. And that's two really key areas. You think about with leaders, I'm a big proponent of you need mentors. You always need, even if it's
Yes.
just someone to share your troubles with sometime.
Mhm.
I actually share this is why I came up with this lattes and leaders because as in the past as a leader, and I would mentor people, I would meet them at a coffee shop and just, talk, let
Awesome.
them vent, toss ideas, but just that
Mhm.
kind of informal type where they feel relaxed and feel like they can, you know, unburden their load. And then the family one, I think, is a big piece too, because,
Yes.
my thought always is, if you have a child that doesn't like school, have you ever thought about maybe it's because their parent didn't like school? And if their
Mhm.
parent didn't like school, they don't really want to interact with you. And so we have to be aware of that and make sure that we make every opportunity and find ways to engage with them where they have a positive experience, maybe for the first time with a school, and then you get them committed. It's so much easier to get the child committed too.
That is it exactly, Dr. Johnson. That is our work to a T. That is my leading with parents work to a T. Wow.
Well, I love it. Yeah, thank you for doing that. I mean, I know that's going to impact schools and families and make a huge difference. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
So let's talk more about the parent initiatives. That's a big thing. And we've heard from several different educational leaders about the importance of, building that community both inside and outside of the schools. So,
Yes.
yeah, why don't you dive in a little bit and tell us more about some of those initiatives?
Absolutely. So, you know, you said it. You said exactly right. Correct. Engaging all of your stakeholders is paramount if we're going to have successful schools. And so you have your internal and your external. You have to hit all of those stakeholders. And on the external piece are your parents and your community, your businesses, different organizations within the community. And so it's important to, first of all, you meet the parents where they are. And Dr. Johnson, you said it exactly. So when I would have parents come in to see me, they may be, oh, there's that principal. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, yeah. And so I would have to build my relationship with them. And okay, how are you doing? And just listen, and when they come in all upset, I just, okay, let them speak, and then they
Yeah.
they share. And then I say, okay, this is what I hear you saying. And then I would say, well, what are your hopes and dreams for your child? Okay. And like, oh, well, and I would take notes because then I would keep that because then I would want to come back and check with them on that. And for me, it was very important for them to call me Ted, not Dr. Huff, and I would call them by their first name if they were okay with that. Because I just want to, just want to break bread with them wherever we
Right.
are at school, at McDonald's, um, you know, St. Louis Bread Co., aka Panera, wherever. And so that was huge, huge. And so what I like to do is find out where your parents are. For example, one school I'm working with, they're retooling, and so we're going to talk about how we're going to set up that group, that piece. So in Mavin Henderson's Beyond the Bake Sale, and they have those four types of partnership schools. You can be a fortress school, you know, come if we call, open door, or partnership school. And
Mhm.
so I have schools just use their framework to conduct a self analysis. Be transparent. Where are you? Where are you with parent voice? Our parents, if we welcome them and we're not afraid of them, bring them into the schools because they have so much to offer. Parents should sit on your administrator interview panels. Your parents should sit in on your teacher interview panels. We should have students sitting in on those panels so that we get that voice and get that perspective so we can kind of see where they're coming from. So it's about making sure we build schools that are welcoming, and not a fortress school where it says, no, no, don't come in. Because we already do, for safety reasons, we now have these new layers of security to get into the schools.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
front office really now needs to overtly and purposely work to welcome parents when they have to go through the protocols. Who are you? Who are you? What are you coming for? Okay, and each time they have to show their ID, even though you know that parent. I need to see your ID, please, because that's the protocol,
Protocol. Yeah.
right? You have to show it. Um, that piece. And then with Dr. Epstein and the National Network of Partnership Schools, there's 6 keys. It talks about how what are the opportunities for volunteering with for the parents. What is learning at home like, and how do we help parents lead learning at home? Some families, may have a separate area for work for the students in the evening. Some may not. Some parents may monitor that. Some may not. So again, it's based on our personal experiences. So then I'd like to go in and have my face teams coach parents on different things, coaching them on how to lead homework sessions at home, right? How to successfully supervise your students' social media. So I think when you have parent
Yeah.
development opportunities, we call them, parent development (PD). You do those in the evening. I'm sorry, evening, Saturdays, daytime, Sundays. We also need to realize that parents may need unique opportunities to meet with you. So maybe it's a Saturday afternoon you have a function, or it's a Monday night, or a Monday morning, or maybe it's a Sunday afternoon. So again, it's the flexibility. I'm not mandating this. I'm just saying we need to look at where parents are. Maybe you're we tell them, if you have your um, parent teacher conferences, maybe you have those on multiple nights. You have them during the day, you have them in the evening. It just think outside the box to meet the needs of our parents, because when we engage the parents, they're going to buy into the school, they're going to support you, they're going to come together for you. At Francis Allen Middle School, we had a dads group, and I wanted the dads group to eventually come into the school and come in at lunch and sit alongside kids, read with the kids, help with homework, whatnot. I didn't get that far before I retired, but what they did was they did a lot of construction. They did a lot of projects for us.
Mm.
They built things for us like it was unbelievable. And so, but that's what they wanted to do. We had a couple of moms say, "Can we join the Dad's Club?" I said, "Yes, you can join the Dad's Club. Anyone can join the club." So we kind of renamed it, right? The Builders Club. Our builders, and they just created things for the school. Well, that's kind of where we are, kind of in a nutshell, in that leading with parents piece. It's just making sure we are comfortable, we make parents feel comfortable, and we make the schools feel comfortable with parents within the school. Because sometimes it can be a little intimidating when parents come into the school. So we just need to make sure that they're welcomed, that we understand why they're there, they understand why we're here, and we're here together to meet the needs of their children.
It's almost like we've been conditioned, yeah, that there's the opposition there, and instead of,
Right.
like you said, so they're intimidated of the school, and then the school's kind of intimidated of them. But I like one thing you said early on, is that when the parents come in, is you just listen. And I think that is so key. And that's just such an important key. We always talk about communication, but I always think listening is the most important part of
Yes.
communication. And, a lot of times when the parents come in, and, this just by the fact that you said that, is, you might have parents come in very frustrated,
Mhm.
but when you let them talk and listen to them, they're mad about a teacher or something. What you find out is they're frustrated because they can't handle their child. They
Yeah.
don't know what to do with their child. And so they're
Mhm.
venting and, lashing out everywhere they can because of their own frustration. And so,
Yes.
just listening, you're able to, make a game plan or make changes that are beneficial, just because you took that time to listen and see what they're really saying. And,
Exactly.
I love that.
Right, and Brett, then when you give them that opportunity to speak and you connect with them, then you find out what are their talents, and then you have parents coming into the school doing things that you had no idea that they could do. We had they wanted to do a holiday wrap in December, and I said, "A holiday what?" They said, "A holiday wrap." I said, "Talk to me." So the face team brought in wrapping paper, all kinds, and every faculty member could bring in 12 gifts they have wrapped in December for whatever you're celebrating in December, whatever holiday,
Right.
birthdays, events. whatever you have, bring in your gifts, and they'll wrap them. So okay, so these are, I mean, so when they wrap and when I wrap, completely differently, right? So when I brought those home, the boys, they go, "Okay, mom, dad, you guys didn't wrap these." I'm like, "No, we didn't. The school did. Yes, they did." So it was amazing, and so it became this incredible. It just, I mean, who knew that holiday wrap would just become so popular, and that was just something that they wanted to do. They wanted to give back, and so the staff brought in their December gifts, and for whatever event you were celebrating, they wrapped them and brought them back to the office. You came and picked them up,
Love it.
and you're good to go. Yeah.
Love it.
Oh,
And
wow.
just another way to make connections and build those relationships. Yeah, I love that. I would be the same way. Someone would be like, "I know you didn't wrap that," if I gave it to
That's
someone.
right. That is true. I did not wrap it. Mm-mm.
Mm. So let's dive a little more into character education. I'm really excited to hear more about that and some of the initiatives that you've implemented.
Okay, absolutely. So, character education, again, another one of my passion areas. There are 11 principles that guide the work of character education.
Mhm.
Character.org, out of Western Virginia, is the parent organization that leads out character education in the country. One of the premier character education organizations here in Missouri. Character Plus is our state organization, and so I work with the state organization and also the national. I also score applications. I sit on the state team to score applications for schools to become Missouri Schools of Character. And then I sit on the national team and score state applications that have applied to become National Schools of Character. And so what's key is that these 11 principles guide the work. Um, I talked about earlier the core values. What are you using to establish yourself? Our first set of core values were respect, responsibility, honesty, and compassion. They've changed since then because they've morphed a little bit. And the process is so important, right? So when you have the kids all, choose their idea of core values, you get this master list, and we keep narrowing it down and narrowing it down, and you get to about 10 or so, and then you put those out for the staff to vote, the students to vote, um, and then the parents to vote, and then they select. So the process, including stakeholder voice, says, you know what, school, you hear me, you're listening to me. And so then we've developed our core values, and then I talked about the principal talked about. I'm just cheating here, looking here really quick. It talks about caring attachments and relationships to foster a sense of belonging and connection. So we want to make sure that every student is connected. And so we conducted an activity. We called it the dot activity, and we made sure all the staff at one of our meetings, in our mid-year meeting in January, they all got little dots, and their mission was to put a dot next to the name of a student. We had the master list out on all the tables in the library, and they just put a dot next to a student that they had a significant relationship with. And afterwards, we looked at that, and so we could see which students had relationships with students and which ones did not. And so then the mission was then to um, take those students that did not have any dots, and then to make sure that we connected a staff member with them to foster and build that relationship. We also developed something called character connection class, and that is we had the 110 minutes of academic lab in the district at middle level, and so we took that time 4 days a week, 20 minutes. I'm sorry, it was 22 minutes. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and we had our character connection families. So each teacher had about 12 to 15 students that were in their family, and 4 days a week they met with them right when school started, and when that ended, then the academic day started, and we went on with our work. And so you were with that teacher for 3 years, and so you built a little family, a little community, and within that community you did different things. You celebrated, uh, you adopted different areas of the school to take care of. um, we did a washers for washers. We did a washers tournament to raise money to buy a washer and dryer for a family in need. And so again, the students are learning to give back to their community through the school. And so they're taking care of the school. We had a couple of our character connection classes who their responsibility was the outdoor community to make sure that the school grounds were kept clean.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Some were in charge of making sure the bulletin boards were neat, and if they weren't up to par, they would let the class know who was in charge of that bulletin board, let them know that the bulletin board needed to be, updated or whatever. And so, and then also those character connection classes adopted people within the building. So I was adopted each year by different character connection class. So I went in and spent the year with them, getting to know them a little bit more, them getting to know me. And so that's kind of how the character education initiative has worked. You can become a Missouri School of Character. You can become a district of character. You can also become a national district of character. And you mentioned the Parkway Schools. They are a prominent district here in St. Louis that is all about character education. The Lindbergh School District is big, as well as Melville. Those are three key districts here in the Metro St. Louis that are on fire for character education.
Great, great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the whole idea of that is, it's kind of facilitating those relationships with each other and super important. From what I've seen about character education that, mentorships can be a part of that. Can you speak for a moment on maybe a couple of mentors that you've had or those in education who you look up to and have made a big impact on your leadership or teaching?
Absolutely, absolutely. So in the area of character education, that would be Dr. Amy Johnston, the building principal at Francetown Middle School when I came there as an AP. She was on fire. She is still on fire for character education. And then Dr. Marvin Berkowitz, who leads out the character initiative at the University of Missouri St. Louis. They really kind of helped me guide what I do. And then I would say also Dr. Peter DeWitt, an educational guru, and then also Dr. Todd Whitaker and Dr. Mike Rutherford. They are leaders in education that have kept me grounded in their best practices and their research. So those three gentlemen in have been huge for my learning and education, and then of course then Dr. Johnson and Dr. Berkowitz in character ed.
We hear from a lot of different educational leaders, and one of the recurring themes is being a lifelong learner and just love of learning in general. So, are there any sources from outside of education that you would recommend for those in educational leadership?
So resources.
Yeah, resources or people to follow or people to listen to outside of
Okay.
education that yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I think, oh my gosh, I do a lot of educational work, but okay. So I think about um, Patrick Lencioni has a series of books that are business related. Five dysfunctions of a team. Um,
Mm,
you know, silos, turfs, and here's another book, and then Death by Meeting. So Patrick has several books that are business related, however,
mhm,
are really, really key in helping us. You think about five dysfunctions of a team. It talks about that fable, and he writes fables. It just talks about these different components, different types of people that are on your team, and he pokes fun a little bit at that. But then also, are those people on your team? Right? And death by meeting. Okay, so we really need to rethink how we work our faculty meetings.
mm,
If it can be handled in an email, you send it. Faculty meetings should be faculty learnings, and um,
mm,
and
wow,
Dr. Beth Whitaker and Dr. Todd Whitaker said they both say that your staff should leave a faculty meeting more excited to begin their new day than they did today. So if they're leaving your faculty meeting not excited or energized, then your faculty meeting wasn't purposeful. So I think Dr. Beth Whitaker and Dr. Todd Whitaker for sharing that with me. It's that they have to really be excited. So I think Patrick's been good. Of course, Jimmy Casas in Culturalize, although it's kind of an education book, but he talks about the culture of your school and your community.
oh,
Yeah,
absolutely,
I agree with you. I've read a lot. The death of meeting. no more excuses. There's some good themes out there that you can draw from, and because my thing always is that good leadership's good leadership, no matter what field it's in. And I think we
Exactly.
can learn traits from that. So, and when we talk about meetings, Steve Jobs was one that said, if everyone is included in a meeting, it's probably not a productive meeting. He's like, you only want the people there that need to be there. You don't need, he didn't use whole faculty,
Yes.
but he's like, I don't need my home team there, because if I bring everybody, half of them aren't going to find anything of importance from it. He was all about the small teams. And so that's kind of the thing I share with administrators. It's better for you to meet with team level, like grade level
Mhm.
teams and things like that. You'll get more out
Absolutely.
of it and be more productive than just bringing everyone together, and like you said, just
Mhm.
sitting there at the end of the day when you're already exhausted. And if it could be an email, oh my goodness, you leave thinking, why did you just waste my time, instead of being encouraged like you were talking about. So it's
Mhm.
little things like that too that I think are, so important for leaders to be aware of and think about. The time of teachers is so precious, and
Yes.
we need to maximize that for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Dr. Johnson and I talk about personal qualities a lot from the lens of personality theory. So, we don't have to go, that detailed or in that deep, but you were principal of the year, and that's a really big accomplishment. What do you
Yes. Thank you,
think?
Jeremy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's
No,
that's
that
awesome.
is, yeah, yeah.
Huh.
I saw that too.
So, what do you think? Which of your personal qualities do you think made you stand out and led to, maybe that award?
Jeremy, okay, I've been told that that I'm effervescent, that I talk a lot, that I talk fast, that I connect with people, that I know names, and I do. That's a gift, knowing people's names. So I just think it goes back to the theater and the love of that, and that creative piece, and involving everyone. And so I just wanted to involve everyone within my community. It's so important to make sure that everyone feels a sense of belonging, and so I think that was a key piece for me, is that wherever I am, it's not about me. It's about what's happening within the school, what's happening in the district, what's happening in the meeting. And so I remove myself, and I just use, skills and talents, for lack of a better word. I use those attributes just to build others up, lift them up, to engage them, to encourage them, and to lead them, and allow them to take off and take flight. And that's what's so exciting, is when I see others begin that journey, to follow their passions.
I love that, and
Yeah.
when we think about your background with theater, we think about, we always talk about the art and the science of teaching, but there also is for leadership too. And I remember earlier when you talking about, you made sure that you knew the students' names. So I know that's something that you were deliberate about as a leader too. And
Yes.
it's surprising how that can make teachers feel. Sometimes when I'm talking about, leaders spend more time in the classrooms and interact, I'll have teachers email me and go, I just wish that my principal knew my name. And so those little things
Mm.
may not seem big, but they are really a big deal to a group of people, teachers that are so
Yes.
affirmational in their own right.
Yes, yes, and know about their families. When hall duty was a great time, passing period was a great time for me to go and stop and check in on each teacher and what was going on in their family right now. And on Mondays, it's great to ask them how did that soccer tournament go, right? Or okay, so how was the family trip? You know, how was the Grand Canyon? And so, because then I think when they see a sincere interest from us, and it's huge. We need not be in the office. We need to be out of the office, in the building, in the classrooms. Um, I had a couple go-to areas in the building when I just needed just to take a break and reconnect. There are a couple classrooms I would go into and just sit with my laptop or not, or turn my radio off and just sit and just kind of enjoy, become a student, just kind of enjoy the learning. Just not evaluation, not a walkthrough,
Right.
nothing. Just going in the classroom just to kind of sit and absorb and go, this is why we're here. This is
Yeah.
why we do what we do.
Mhm.
To empower the teachers to create those communities within their schools that are in their classrooms that are just magical.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so this is called Lattes and Leaders. So, what is your hot beverage of choice? Is it coffee, cappuccino, latte, hot tea, or none of the above?
Okay, so my beverage of choice is the black raspberry tea from Quick Trip. Um, that's my drink of choice. I am not a coffee drinker. I'm a coffee smeller. So I will enjoy. My wife drinks coffee, and so I and my boys, and so when coffee's brewing, I'm like, I love that. I will smell it all day long, but I won't drink it. So the black
Really?
raspberry is my cold drink of choice.
Okay, all right.
We've really enjoyed talking to you this morning. Are there any last pearls of wisdom that you want to leave with our listeners?
It's two things. One is that if I could give a leader advice, it's called act, not react. When we react, we're sometimes when we react to a conversation or a question or a challenge, we become negative, and so that comes out in us, and so we're reacting. It's quick, it's short, it can be sharp, and if we're quick, short, and sharp, that is going to go a long way with impacting that teacher or parent or colleague in a negative way.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think that's the listening piece coming in. So what we need to do is we need to act. We need to take on the role as a listener, as a leader, as a learner, as a as another teacher listening to that teacher, or a parent listening to that other parent, um, and be empathetic. So I think it's very important that we act wisely in everything that we do and don't react. I just think that's huge. And then I think with parents and leading with parents, I think it's so important that we empower parent voice by bringing them into the schools and welcoming them, and not and making sure, as we mentioned earlier, making sure that they're connected and the school's connected with them, so that it's a two-way street, and they're seen as colleagues, they're seen as co-committee members, because as we've all shared this today, when they're connected, when they're engaged parents, they're going to do so much more for you, and they're going to support you to the nth degree. So I would say, just it's very important to stop and just kind of reevaluate where you are with your parent organization, and make sure that they're connected with you, because you will do great things.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing everything. And
Absolutely.
um, we'll we'll add links when this is posted for the character ed or whatever links you want us to share,
Okay. Okay.
and get that message out there. So
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
was so good to have you today.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate Jeremy, you and Dr. Johnson having me on today, and this is a great opportunity just to share our stories.
This has been Lattes and Leaders with Dr. Brad Johnson. We hope that you leave today feeling informed and inspired. For more educational content, be sure to add this podcast to your list and follow Dr. Johnson on any and all social media platforms. For more information on Dr. Johnson, Jeremy Johnson, and special guest, check out drbradjohnson.com. That is DOCTOR, bradjohnson.com. Hope to have you back soon.